Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear student, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to talk about glucocorticoids, non-metabolic function. As you know, glucocorticoid having two functions. One is metabolic function, another is non-metabolic function. Already I have discussed the metabolic function, that is action on carbohydrate metabolism, that is stimulate gluconeogenesis as well as reduce the glucose utilization by the cell. And action on protein metabolism, it will mobilize the amino acid from extrahepatic tissue, usually from skeletal muscle and lymphoid tissue. And action on adipose tissue, that is increased mobilization of fatty acid from adipose tissue. Now come to the non-metabolic function. Now you know what are the non-metabolic functions. These are the headlines of metabolic function. You see non-metabolic function of glucocorticoids. One is anti-stress or resistance to stress or prevent the stress. Another is anti-inflammatory, prevent the inflammation. Another is anti-allergic, effects on blood cells and lymphoid organs. Number 5 is permissive action. 6 is others. I'll discuss later on this. Now come to the anti-stress or prevent the stress or resistance to stress. As you know, glucocorticoid is responsible for long continued life. You see any stress, there is, I'll give you some example of stress, physical or mental stress, any type of physical and mental trauma, as well as fever, increased heat and cold, and surgery is also a stress. These stress excite the hypothalamus, via limbic system. Then hypothalamus release corticotropin releasing hormone, and this corticotropin releasing hormone comes to the anteropituitary through blood, that is hypothalamus-hypophyseal portal vessel. Then in the anteropituitary it will stimulate the corticotropes and release ACTH. These ACTH again comes to the adrenal cortex through the blood and stimulate the adrenal cortex to release cortisol. Cortisol prevents stress. How does it act? You see, it causes gluconeogenesis, protein mobilization, fat mobilization, and stabilize the lysosomal membrane. This is amino acid. Increased level of amino acid and fatty acid provides energy to the tissue immediately. And also amino acid converted to glucose, that is gluconeogenesis, that also provide energy to the tissue. And protein also converted to some other substance, that is purine, pyrimidine, and creatine phosphate. These are responsible for the maintenance of cellular life, also to produce new cell or generation, reproduction of new cell. That will prevent the stress. Now come to the anti-inflammatory action. Anti-inflammatory action, as you know the sign symptom of inflammation is dolor, color, tumor, rubor, and functional mission. All these are prevented by cortisol. How does it act? I'll discuss later on. First, if there is, it prevents the early stage of inflammation, or if when inflammation already developed, it will hasten the resolution as well as healing. Now you see the cortisol stabilize the lysosomal membrane. When liposoluble membrane is stabilized, there is a no enzyme will release and there is a no inflammatory substance will release and it prevents the inflammation. Next is cortisol also prevent the migration of inflammatory cells, neutrophil and monocyte to prevent the phagocytosis. Also, cortisol increase the permeability of the cortisol prevent the permeability of the capillaries. That is by restoring the capillary reactivity. Next is cortisol also decrease the lymphocyte count and decrease the proliferation of lymphocyte and also reduce the size of lymphoid tissue. And fifth one is it will attenuate the fever by decreasing releasing of interleukin from neutrophils. Cortisols maintain the lysosomal membrane as it will prevent the release of inflammatory substance. What are the inflammatory substances? One is prostaglandin, another is leukotriene. Now, next is if the inflammation already developed, it will hasten the resolution as well as healing. That is when there is a cortisol increase mobilization of amino acid and amino acid provides purine, pyrimidine and creatine phosphate that will generate new cells and it will prevent the inflammation and hasten the inflammation. As you know, cortisol not the change of the pattern of the disease, but only it prevent the adverse effect of inflammatory substance. Now come to the fourth effect on blood cell and lymphoid organ. Blood cell. The cortisol increase the RBC count, platelet count, increase neutrophil and monocyte. Then cortisol decrease the eosinophil, basophil and lymphocytes. If the cortisol level is very increased, there you will get eosinopenia as well as lymphopenia. These are now the permissive action. What is permissive action? Permissive action, you know, a small amount of cortisol must be present for different metabolic action. Although cortisol do not produce these metabolic action by themselves. As you know, glucagon and epinephrine, these are glycolytic hormones. Glucagon increase the blood glucose level by gluconeogenesis as well as by glycogenolysis. This glucagon in combination with cortisol, it promotes the action of these glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. Another is, you know, the epinephrine is also a glycolytic function. It has lipolytic function, is a vascular response, and it will increase the dilatation of the bronchial. These are all actions performed by the epinephrine at least need some glucocorticoids. This is the permissive action. Other action. Now I want to discuss about the anti-allergic. You know the cortisol prevent the allergy. That is, it will prevent the anaphylactic shock by restoring the vascular reactivity. It prevents the permeability of the capillaries and plasma remain inside the capillary and there is a shock will be prevented. 6 is others. Cortisol having other effects on ACTase, increase UC, that is increase cortisol level, negative feedback, it will inhibit the ACTase release secretion. Increase cortisol, decrease secretion of ACTase. Now come to the vascular reactivity. Cortisol maintain the vascular reactivity. Cortisol effects on water metabolism. It has been seen when the cortisol level is decreased, there is a water load is increased in the blood and also water intoxication. It has, when cortisol is given, that increase GFR, increase remove of water from the body. Cortisol having effect on nervous system. It has been seen that when the cortisol level is decreased, there is some effect on the nervous system. That is personality change and inability to concentrate or irritable. Now cortisol having other effect. What are the other effect? Increased cortisol level, decreased growth hormone secretion, decreased thyroid stimulating hormone, and increased PNMT enzyme. PNMT enzyme is the phenylethylamine and methyltransferase. That enzyme convert non-epinephrine to epinephrine in the adrenal medulla. Last is the cortisol stimulate the maturation of surfactant in the fetal lungs. And fetal lungs, if the surfactant will not maturated in the fetal lungs, the baby may develop hyaline membrane disease. That is the important role of cortisol, maturation of surfactant in the fetal lungs during fetal period. I think no more other things to discuss. It is enough for you. It is very important. This is the last I want to repeat this non-metabolic function of the glucocorticoids. One is anti-stress to prevent the stress, anti-inflammatory to prevent the inflammation, anti-allergic, the effects on blood cell and lymphoid pattern. All the blood cell is increased, that is RBC is increased, neutrophil increase, monocyte increase, and platelet decrease, lymphocyte count decrease, eosinophil and basophil. Eosinophil decrease by increase sequestration of eosinophil in the lung as well as in the spleen. And number 5, permissive action and other effects are the other. Thank you. Very important this question. I think sometimes it comes in proper examination. One is metabolic function, another is non-metabolic function. Previously I discussed the metabolic function, acts on protein metabolism, acts on carbohydrate metabolism, acts on fat metabolism. And these are the non-metabolic functions. Thank you, students.